Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and I'm here for Altenew, and today I'm going to be using this Sketchy Cities America 2 stamp set to create a fairly clean and simple card. And I've got to say that nothing much with this card went right. I wasn't even sure if I was going to share it with you or not, but I decided, well, I might as well just to show you that you can sometimes save a card, and there are a few different ways of doing that. And I had already stamped this stamp out a few times. I wanted to stamp it on some acetate, and for some reason I didn't want to fight with some stays on ink. It's not really my friend. So I had tried with Onyx Black and embossed it in with a clear embossing powder, and that did work, but it didn't give the black that I wanted. So then I decided to stamp it straight on the card front. But before I do that, I'm just adding some Inktense pencils to the top of my card front and just literally randomly sketching with my pencil over the top of the card and choosing some colours that I think might go well together. And then I'm just picking up a bit of water. I don't want it to be too wet because this cardstock is just normal cardstock, it's not watercolour cardstock. And then I can just sort of mix the colours together with just a little bit of water here. And then I can just set this aside to dry for a few minutes. It doesn't take very long because there isn't a lot of water on the cardstock. And once I've done that, then I can actually mask off the back of my card, and then I can stamp out my image. And I've mounted the city image to a Fiskars stamp press because it's such a large image and it just helps me try and get a good impression, which actually didn't happen here. and I've already stamped this out a few times, and I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to go with this because I've already done all the colouring and I want to see if I can try and save this card. So what I do is just get my Copic multiliner, and this is a 0.3, and I'm holding the stamp, the packet beside me so that I can actually see what the image looks like. And I'm basically just drawing in the lines that I've missed. And I'm sorry, but my head did get in the road quite a bit there, so I had to cut that out. And now I want to emboss a sentiment, and this is from the same set. And I've got to say, this card was really a ride. This sentiment says, enjoy the ride, and this card really was a ride. I just felt like I was never going to get there because I actually stamped the sentiment wrong, and I've had to re-stamp it here. So I wanted to use that little exclamation mark at the end, and I just set that in the wrong spot. So once I've heat embossed that, then I can cut that out using my paper trimmer. And I want to add a white panel to the front of my card and put a little black trim along the top. So I'm using my stamp runner, and I'll just line that up and cut off any excess just by flipping it over and using a sharp pair of scissors. And I still wanted to include the acetate in my card, even though I didn't stamp on it in the end like my original plan was. I thought it'd still look pretty cool to have the acetate over the city image. And to hold that, you know, I think, well, by using that there, and then I can add my sentiment over where I had to touch up the stamping, I think that's going to hide it pretty well. So what I'm going to do now is attach the acetate to the base panel, and I'll just do that by holding in place near the top of the card, and then I can add my stamp runner to the back of my top panel and line that up with my card front. Very easy to do. So I'm going to pop up my little sentiment, and I've got some black foam tape. This is a double-sided foam tape, and it's 2 millimeters thick, so I'm just going to pop that on the back of my sentiment. And then on the back of my card panel, I'm going to pop that up using some fun foam, and this is a black coloured fun foam, and I'll use my stamp runner to hold that in place. And to help hold my acetate up, I'm just using another piece of that double-sided foam there. And then I can attach the whole panel to the front of the card, and that will just help hold the acetate up off the card front. And then I'll just simply adhere my sentiment to the front of my card, and I think I had to stick that on a couple of times too. I kept doing everything crooked today for some reason. And for a final touch, I've got some enamel dots, and if I had been thinking ahead, I would have put this in behind the panel before I stuck it down, but I eventually got that in there. And these are such pretty colours. They're from Cocoa Vanilla Studio, I think, and it's a set called Awesome. And I'm just going to place 3 of those near the corner of the front panel, and that's my card done. I didn't think I was going to get there, but I did. So till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.